Or who's worse, Andy Ogles, who
Yeah.
called Doron Little Muhammad. I can't even keep track of all the
He wanted them
insane.
deported. He said we should be deported.
Yeah, I can't even keep track of all the insane lunatics on the sitting in Congress. And then like some activists will like burn a car, and apparently that's the same as Mike Lee sitting in Congress.
I have to ask you this to start. I wanted to know what your thoughts were on the video and the press conference where Donald Trump is in front of these cages where many of these migrants will be. I would imagine many of them with no criminal history. To me, it's just a despicable time in our country right now. What do you make of that?
Yeah, obviously the display in and of itself is disgusting. I mean, they were gloating about how they set it up in like 2 or 3 weeks, which isn't a flex. That means it's not safe, it's not secure, but it also comes at a really critical time when we've seen ICE ramping up, when we see this big ugly bill adding, they want to go from $3.4 billion a year towards ICE to like 45 or so billion dollars a year by 2029, meaning we are about to enter an ICE surveillance state, like an ICE detainment state that we've never seen the likes of before. So while all of that's happening, Trump has this quote unquote cute little alligator Alcatraz on the side, but it's not so cute because it's coming at a really critical time when literally ICE is targeting people at nail salons, targeting people in courthouses, like in courtrooms. So when people go to the court to follow the proper processes, ICE will be camping there waiting for them. And again, Trump thinks it's cute to have this alligator Alcatraz, but it's like, it's not. It's pretty insensitive and terrible.
Yeah, it's sickening. I agree with you, Adam. What do you make of that? I mean, they told us, Tom Homan, and they told us we're going to go after the violent criminals. That's our priority. What it appears as though the more people that ICE is gathering up are people with no criminal history at all.
Yeah, they lied. It's as simple as that. They lied about everything. They said they were going to end the war in Ukraine. Nope. It got worse. Russia's taken more territory. More wars have broken out. Trump struck Iran. They said they were going to help the working class, the middle class, the lower class. Nope. They pulled away social safety nets. And I think when it comes to their promise about immigration, Trump is probably, in my opinion, what seems like most of the reporting backs this, being dictated around a lot by Stephen Miller. Like Stephen Miller kind of creates the blueprint behind the scenes for what happens, and Trump just seems to be dragged along. I know that he has his own really, really disgusting views on immigration, but I've heard there are times when even Donald Trump told Stephen Miller to reel it back because this is bad optics. So it's like, yeah.
And I guess this is breaking news, Adam, that I want to share with you because apparently Secretary Rubio has literally just officially announced that USAID has ceased all operations. What are your thoughts on that?
That is wild. We saw both President Obama and former President Bush yesterday say in a statement that this was an atrocity, or that this was a travesty. Sorry, that was the word. They said it was abysmal. This could lead to lower estimates of 3 million deaths over the next decade. Upper estimates were 14 million extra deaths over the next decade. 14 million extra deaths. And that in turn goes to the U.S. doorstep. Here's the thing about USAID that I always say, and it's like, it's hard to explain sometimes, but when you're driving past the gas pump every day, that's like a visible indicator of how things are going to most people. Okay, gas prices are up and down, but USAID isn't as much of a visible indicator, meaning just because it's thousands of miles away, people think it doesn't really affect me, but it does. These diseases that it would prevent end up at your doorstep years later. So even though you don't see like the immediate return on USAID, like, you know, gas prices going up or down, there is a return long term.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're just at the beginning here. You know, Trump's been in office for about 5 months or so, and the future does not look too bright. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this big, beautiful bill that, at least that's what they call it. And then J.D. Vance today had to have the deciding vote. What do you make of these MAGA Republicans, Adam? You know well that 13, 14 million people could lose their health coverage, their Medicaid coverage. Yet Republicans keep blatantly lying what's in this bill, and it's in there. I mean, Mike Johnson lying about it, Donald Trump lying about it, a plethora of MAGA Republicans lying about it. What do you make of that?
It's pretty impressive how they're brazenly trying to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people. And it could backfire in the midterms if they pass it, when it seems like they pass it, and people begin to feel the effects. Because beyond the massive debt increase, which again is kind of like one of those things like USAID, where we don't feel it right now in the immediate term. I won't feel it driving to like work or school or whatever. But what people will feel is the massive slashing of Medicaid, the massive redistribution of wealth. There's massive cuts to green energy that will cause 830,000 jobs to be cut. Unions came out against that. We have, again, redistribution of wealth, likes of which we've never seen. Even changes to election integrity coupled with changings to housing and urban development, it all creates a pretty terrifying, terrible bill. And I think that Republicans are going to face the consequences of that.
No question about that. I do want to ask you about Iran, because based on at least the early U.S. intelligence is that this was not as successful as Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are leading people to try to believe anyway, right? We know that Iran had a few days notice. We know that trucks were leaving those facilities. They don't want to talk about that. There's no evidence that any got any uranium out of there. And our own intelligence says maybe it set them back a month or two. Again, we talk about lying, Adam, all the time. You do and I do. It seems like we're not getting any more or any credible information from the Trump administration about how successful or unsuccessful this mission actually was.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that the Iranian regime should not have nukes. I think they're uniquely dangerous because, you know, my dad is Muslim. His whole side of the family, they're Muslim. We have these conversations, and they're more like a westernized version of Islam. They're toned down. They're just like they pray a lot, but the Iranian leaders, the leaders in Iran, that's the most extreme version of Islam possible, meaning they think there is a certainty of paradise. And if they nuke anybody, everybody goes to paradise or whatever. So it's terrifying. That being said, we had a deal. The JCPOA was a perfectly good deal, at least for the decade it was in place, for us to have oversight, relentless oversight into this. Trump shredded it up in 2017 or 18. And he thought he shredded up because he hates Obama, right? But he had no fallback plan for the JCPOA, for the Iran nuclear deal. With no fallback plan, that allowed Iran to continue enriching their uranium. That led to the current escalation that we see today. Trump has no plan. He has no ability to cut a deal or create a plan or even concepts. So the point is, despite me thinking Iran shouldn't have nukes, Trump has no clue how to deal with this. Obama had a good framework, a good plan in place. And yeah, Trump's lying. It's funny because Trump contradicted his own intelligence multiple times. When his intelligence was saying, at first, we don't know if Iran is enriching, he was like, oh, they're lying, don't listen. Then when they said, oh, no, we didn't actually like completely succeed, he was like, no, don't listen to them. So in 6 months, we're probably going to see Netanyahu pull us back into a similar deal. And I'm just because I am not a fan of the Iranian regime, I'm not a fan of Netanyahu either. It's nuanced.
Yeah. So Adam, I think for the most part, we agree on this, right? Obviously, we don't want Iran to have these nuclear capabilities, but I'm not a fan of Benjamin Netanyahu either. Here's my issue. It appears to me, and you tell me whether you would disagree with this or not, that the Israeli intelligence Donald Trump is going by, he's not going by our own intelligence. You know what Tulsi Gabbard said under oath a few months ago. It appears to me that he's being played by Benjamin Netanyahu in a similar way that he's being played by Vladimir Putin, and he just wants to get his muscle in the game. That's what it appears to me. Does that make sense to you?
Oh yeah, he's being dog walked by by Benjamin Netanyahu and Vladimir Putin as well.
Yeah.
But in this case, he's being dog walked by Netanyahu in the sense that Donald Trump would have rather this not happen. He would have rather been the no new wars guy. Once it happened, he jumped in at the last minute because he wanted to take an easy victory, except the easy victory wasn't so easy because the war continued. So he's been pulled and stretched along by Benjamin Netanyahu every step of the way. And I don't think Israeli intelligence is one that we should. I mean, they have really good intelligence, but they would probably lie about WMDs or about nukes. So, I mean, I think we go based off of our own intelligence. We try to collect it in a nonpartisan way, and then we display it with a lot of oversight to the public. And yeah, it just the way Donald. I agree with your analysis. Yeah, Netanyahu's dog walking Trump.
Yeah. I have to ask you this, Adam, on a lighter note. At times I do wear cologne. I'm sure you do as well. I'm sure you've heard over the last 24 hours, Donald Trump putting out, something else to swindle people by, and which is cologne. I think the men's cologne is around $200, women's perfume somewhere around $350. I mean, I'm wondering if Joe Biden did something like this, the Joe Biden cologne, what MAGA Republicans would say. This is a guy who sells Bibles. This is a guy who sells patches of his suit when he was indicted. And when all this stuff is going on all over the world, as you mentioned, the war in the Ukraine, which he said he would end in 24 hours, Iran, tariffs, this bill that will be a disaster, they put out a cologne. I'm just wondering from your standpoint, what's your thought on that?
I'm just picturing like the red pill MAGA dudes who always say, why don't girls ever like me? and they show up to the date and they're wearing Trump sneakers with a Trump cologne and like a Trump tattoo or whatever. Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe wear Guess cologne. I like Guess cologne sometimes, but Trump's cologne, I could not imagine that.
Just horrible.
Yeah.
You've had some run-ins with Mike Lindell before I let you go. You've had some run-ins with him. And as you know, he was in court a few weeks ago, and his own attorney basically called him a liar. His own attorney said, yeah, you can't believe anything Mike Lindell says. You've had videos that have gone viral, and we've talked about that. I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on now on this? Because you spoke to him at the DNC, too. What are your thoughts? That was great. What are your thoughts on what took place in a courtroom where basically Mike Lindell's own defense attorney said, you can't believe a word this guy says?
It's kind of like the Tucker Carlson defense too. Tucker Carlson, or I think it was Tucker in court a while back, they said it's entertainment, not news. You can't actually trust. It was like no reasonable person would believe that what Tucker was saying was the truth. So they're inadvertently slapping Fox News viewers in the face by saying they're not reasonable people. But I think that Mike Lindell is a true believer in the Trump regime. And I've debated with my audience about this, whether he's grifting himself, but no. I think this dude has spent a lot of money. He's a true believer. I think we talked about this one time, whether or not he truly believes this stuff.
Yep.
The more I talk to him, maybe drugs fried his brain, like unironically, and but he believes the Donald Trump stuff. He thinks the election system needs to be back to paper ballots. I don't know.
I wanted to ask you, because you have such a large following and you do such a great job. And, I've had Luke Beasley on the show before. You both are extremely intelligent, well-spoken. I feel like, and not to open up a can of worms, there's a lot of reasons why Kamala lost, but I believe this is one of them. There are a lot of people your age that are right-wing podcasters, and Trump did those podcasts. And I think, of course, Trump got the younger vote, at least more than they thought. Why do you think there are not more people out there like you over the course of the last 10, 15, 20 years? We don't have enough people like you, and it seems like there are more people around your age that are Trump supporters. Am I wrong in making that assertion? And do you think the Democrat Party have a problem and they need to find more people like you?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you. But second of all, I think that my generation tends to look for more extremes they tend to lean towards the extremes of either side. And right now, the Democrats are very status quo. Kamala had a very status quo campaign, and Trump was like the change candidate who was going to change everything. So that was part of it. I also think the right-wing media ecosystem is really strong. I always say there's two components. There is the pipeline, and then there's the volume. So the pipeline is like every young dude at one point has dating problems, and they go to look up, what do I do with these dating problems? And then it leads you down this red pill, Andrew Tate, MAGA pipeline. Or if I have friends that work out, they're always at the gym. And when they go to the gym, they look up Instagram reels after, and then they're watching Make America Healthy Again reels. So they create this pipeline. And then once you're down the pipeline, they just carpet bomb you with volume. The volume thing would be imagine Elon Musk's volume of tweets every day, 100, 200, probably even 300 tweets every day, just over and over and over. And that's across every platform. So what we do on YouTube, I post a lot. I try to, whenever Caroline Levitt does a press conference, I'm fact checking. When Trump does a press conference, I'm fact checking. When Elon Musk ends up escalating with Trump, I'm on it, making sure I break it down and say, well, Elon has his own self-interest right here, but he's probably right about here. So, yeah, I mean, I think the question as to why more people aren't making content and stuff, I don't know. That's a good question. We should create the incentives too.
I will say this, I've done Pierce a number of different times. I enjoy when you're on Pierce Morgan as well. It always feels like I'm 3-on-1 sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
You do a good job there. We got to get on there together. I got to text them over there and say, I got to get on with Adam because I would love to team up with you against some. I mean, I was on with Clay Travis and Roger Stone a few weeks ago, and they're just the biggest clowns in the world.
I saw that. With all due respect to Pierce, I feel like he always has one liberal on, then boxes a liberal out at convenient times. I try to get a point in, and I'm just oh, whatever.
It's interesting you say that, Adam, because he read a tweet that I put out, and you're probably a nicer guy than me, but sometimes I use extremely strong language. MAGA buffoons. I threw a few F-bombs out there and I was tweeting it out. And he takes the tweet and he's like, Brian, are you comfortable with that language? Pierce Morgan is friends with Donald Trump, a liable sexual abuser who attacks Gold Star families. And it blows my mind. You're right. It's like he tries to pin he does that with Pac-Man also. He tries to pin us in the corner with something ridiculous and stupid. And meanwhile, takes the side of a guy like a Clay Travis. So I don't even know how to combat that sometimes.
Yeah, the double standards between the sides really piss me off. I don't even know. It reminds me when Biden gave that one speech where he was like, not all Republicans, but MAGA Republicans are like hate this country or whatever, but not even most Republicans. They were saying that's going to cause a civil war. That's like civil war language or whatever. And then Trump sends these all cap posts about insane shit on like Memorial Day, like happy Memorial Day to all the losers who hate this country. And they're like, that's just Trump. Every single day you see these double standards. Like, what was the one senator's name that was making fun of the Minnesota shooter?
Mike Lee.
Mike Lee, him, or who's worse, Andy Ogles, who called Zohran Little Muhammad. I can't even keep track of all the
He wanted him deported. He said we should be deported.
Yeah, I can't even keep track of all the insane lunatics on the sitting in Congress. And then like some activists will like burn a car, and apparently that's the same as Mike Lee sitting in Congress.
Yeah, it's such a double standard, Adam. Hey, I love what you do, brother. Keep up the great work. Hopefully we'll talk to you again soon. I love what you guys do at Midas Touch. Ron Filipowski says hello. He joined me yesterday. Keep up the great work, my friend, and keep doing what you're doing. It's important.
Means more than you know. Tell Ron I said what's up, and thank you for having me. Peace out.
Thanks, Adam. You're the best.